And now, here's Mike Muse with the political news.
So let's get right to it and meet the candidates.
That completes the opening statement.
We're going to get right to it.
On Sway in the Morning.
Sway in the Morning, Shade 4-5. Citizens like many of us, you woke up this morning to the awful and the tragic news of what is taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada. Before we go further, Mike Muse is here, but we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everyone in Las Vegas, Nevada, anyone that has been affected by this horrific tragedy. I don't even know where to begin, Mike Muse.
Yeah, actually, it was one of those situations. Me neither. Heather, you wake up this morning and you just see this tragedy unfolding while we were sleeping.
Yeah.
The most of us here from the East Coast who didn't watch it live. Heather B, what we know now is that at least 50 people were killed in a mass shooting overnight in Las Vegas Strip.
Wow.
Police said this is the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. If you guys recall, Pulse nightclub in Orlando had 49 victims at the end of it. Right now, we're sitting at 50 with over 200 injured, and that is more than likely to rise. This was in response to Jason Aldean, a country music superstar, was performing at the Route 91 Country Music Festival. And what we now know, Heather B, is that there was a 64-year-old gunman named Stephen Paddock, and he was firing from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. And eventually, Stephen was apprehended and shot and killed by the police. And the sheriff also said authorities think they have found his partner, Mary Lou Dantley, the woman believed to be traveling with the suspect. And here is a audio from someone who was actually on the scene.
Well, we were watching the concert from the east side of the stage, and we heard a succession of pops, and it did, unbelievably, it sounded like fireworks, but as they kept rattling off, then we realized something was up, and most of the crowd started to duck down a bit, and Jason Aldean actually turned around and ran off the stage, and that's when we realized that, we were in, something bad was going on. So actually, everybody in the crowd actually got down, which was unbelievable just to watch that. And everybody was staying safe and low. And the succession of firearms going off just kept going over and over in like groups of 10. I'd say at least we heard 50 or 60 minimum.
Really quickly, Mike Muse, as you were speaking, I just remember just to send thoughts and prayers as well. We have staff members here from SiriusXM that are actually out there. Eileen Holiday, who is in charge of our digital program here at SiriusXM, she's out there. Dooley, another person here who was a part of SiriusXM and a digital platform and programming and promotions, he's out there. She has checked in now and said that they are safe, but they were actually out there covering that concert.
Wow. Well, thank God that they're safe. And,
yeah.
And as that witness is saying, Heather, if you can imagine, the way that where the festival was set up was away from the Mandalay Bay. And so can you imagine being a concert goer and you hearing these shots? And many of them thought they were fireworks. And this gentleman is just shooting into a sea of people, and people don't know where to go. And when you watch the video, it's really chilling to see the way he paused to reload his automatic weapon, then to just refire. And so I got a shout out to the police department and the first responders who were on the scene and was able to, Heather B, identify so quickly the location of the shooter actually on the 32nd floor within a split amount of time, which then gave the report to the SWAT team to know exactly where to go to get the shooter. So can you imagine being on the ground and being able to see just from firing in a window what floor the shots are coming from, how attentive they had to be on the police floor. So shout out to Las Vegas Police Department for being so aware and so attentive and bringing that to a resolve.
First responders as well. Thank you, Mike Muse.
Yes, and also to our president has tweeted his condolences. They are watching it. There's a statement from Press Secretary Sanders that the president has been briefed on the horrific tragedy in Las Vegas, and they are monitoring the situation closely and offer for full support. State and local officials and all those affected are in their thoughts and prayers. And Heather B, Trump tweeted out this morning, my warmest condolences and sympathies to the victims and families of the terrible Las Vegas shootings. God bless you. So Heather B, that takes us on to another tragedy that we're facing here in America, and that is with Puerto Rico. And so as we all know, Puerto Rico is currently sitting with 95% of the islands in the dark. And if you can imagine, Heather B, 11 days of just heat, high humidity. Imagine the summertime, right? And mid-July, August, and there's no AC anywhere where you're around, and it's 11 days of no electricity. You're sitting in the dark. There's no gas. There's no gas, and there's no diesel to power your generators.
Yeah.
The lines are long for any remaining gas that's available. People are running out of cash. ATM machines are running out of cash. And so if you can imagine what that could look like, I mean, we just get uncomfortable and hot here in just in a couple of hours.
And I can't even imagine the scenario that you're trying to paint. I don't know if anyone can unless they're there going through something like that.
Exactly, which caused such an uproar politically, had to be, unfortunately. Now Puerto Rico has become, and this hurricane has become politicized. And so there was a discussion that happened between President Trump, the mayor of Puerto Rico, Mayor Cruz, as well as the acting Homeland Security Director, Eileen Duke. And here's how it began on Thursday with Eileen.
Listen to this. I am very satisfied. I know it's a hard storm to recover from, but the amount of progress that's been made, and I really would appreciate any support that we get. I know it is really a good news story in terms of our ability to reach people and the limited number of deaths that have taken place in such a devastating hurricane.
So if you can imagine the scenario that we painted in terms of what those people have been living in for 11 days, then to hear the acting Homeland Security Director say that this is a great news story, as you can imagine, prompted a reaction from the mayor of Puerto Rico, Mayor Carmen Cruz.
I will do what I never thought I was going to do. I am begging anyone that can hear us to save us from dying. If anybody out there is listening to us, we are dying, and you are killing us with the inefficiency and the bureaucracy.
Wow.
So that'd be what Mayor Carmen Cruz is alluding to, killing us with the bureaucracy and inefficiency. And this is something that President Trump picked up on, was more so the fact of having to fill out the paperwork in order to get aid. And so she was talking about being in contact with FEMA. And when she's in contact with FEMA, the questions that they would ask her, kind of going through procedural process, when she's saying, let's just cut to the chase and let's just begin to talk about what the issue is at hand and how we need help. So that caused reaction from Trump, Heather B., where he sent out 18 tweets in 11 hours on Saturday. And some of the tweets that really got a lot of attention is, he said, quote, "Such poor leadership ability of the mayor of San Juan and others in Puerto Rico who are not able to get their workers to help. They want everything to be done for them when it should be community effort. 10,000 federal workers now on the island doing a fantastic job. The fake news networks are working overtime in Puerto Rico doing their best to take the spirit away from our soldiers and our first responders. A shame." So that was our president's tweet, and in response to that, how you put this in context overall, what's happening with the weekend is that this isn't the time to attack, a mayor who is trying to help her people who are put in that situations of being 11 days without electricity.
Right.
And this isn't the time to really begin to, what I feel is politicizing our first responders and our emergency response team and our military. I believe that he's using those individuals as some type of weaponry to get across some narrative that he's hoping to establish. And I would just like for us to be mindful of that we don't politicize that entity of the American branch that protects and serves us, because they are not political in nature. So if you could imagine just the frustration that is happening, and people have been very disappointed in the response and reaction that has been getting. What's happening now, to give an update, is that the Puerto Rico island is expecting to receive a shipment of gas and diesel that will be delivered today and tomorrow. At issue, Heather B., is that it's a question of the supplies are there, they're at the port. The difficulty is the distribution aspect of it. They haven't been able to be distributed. As you know, we had a caller last week who talked about the Jones Act in the sense of how ships cannot enter into U.S. territory. Well, that now has been lifted, so now ships can come in. And so now we're going to start seeing more aid. But that's been a difficulty in terms of there hasn't been enough pressure, and if people have felt in Puerto Rico, there hasn't been a quick enough response from the U.S. government when it comes to that. So
this is 11 days later that things are now, quote unquote, being distributed. I've seen some things online as well as everyone else. I see Geraldo Rivera has gone down there, and allegedly he said it's not that bad. He hasn't seen anybody dying. That caused another uproar. I don't know what's true and not true, because the president tweeted out the fake news and the media. I'm not sure. Citizens, 888-742-3776. 3345. You heard Mike Muse. I'm sure you've seen some things online. Do you have relatives in Puerto Rico? Do you actually know what's firsthand what is going on? Let's talk about it. It's Sway in the Morning, Shade 45.